When you're out in the wild with no matches, no lighter, and the cold creeping in, knowing how to build a fire isn't just a skill, it's survival. Bear Grylls has shown us time and time again that with the right techniques and a bit of creativity, you can make fire almost anywhere. From soggy jungles to blazing deserts, even with a dead phone battery. Whether you're a camper, adventurer, or just someone who loves watching Bear do the impossible, this one's for you. In this video, we're breaking down 10 essential campfire tips straight from Man vs. Wild. How do you build a fire using a phone? And what's the one fire structure Bear says works every single time? Well, let's see. Bear Grylls doesn't just preach preparation, he lives by it. When it comes to fire, rushing into it without a plan is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. The spark might be the exciting part, but it's what you do before and after that determines whether your fire survives or fizzles. Bear has said it clearly, and when you see him in action, it's obvious that he means it. First, it's all about choosing your fire site. Bear avoids low, swampy areas and wind tunnels. He often builds fires on raised platforms made from bark or rocks, especially in wet or snowy conditions. This simple move stops ground moisture from killing the fire before it even begins. Then comes collecting the right materials. Bear doesn't light anything until he's gathered everything he needs: dry tinder, pencil-thin kindling, and increasingly larger sticks and logs. He even tests wood by breaking it. If it cracks clean, it's dry and good to go. Another overlooked but crucial part of preparation is building a proper fire pit. Bear often uses rocks to create a barrier. This keeps the fire focused, protects it from wind, and limits the risk of it spreading uncontrollably. A contained fire is a safe fire, and safety matters, especially when you're tired, cold, and relying on that flame for warmth or cooking. So don't light your match or strike that steel until your entire setup is ready to receive it. But what if you've got no gear at all? Just a broken phone? Bear Grylls once lit a fire using a broken, waterlogged phone, and it actually worked. It sounds like something from a survival-themed sci-fi show, but Bear pulled it off in Man vs. Wild. To prove a point, survival isn't always about having the perfect tools. It's about thinking fast and using what's in your pocket. In this case, it was a dead mobile phone, a knife, and a bit of nerve. The trick lies in the lithium battery. Most modern phones contain one, and even when water damaged, the battery can still produce a chemical reaction when manipulated correctly. Bear carefully removed the battery, exposing its internal components. Then, using the tip of his knife, he short-circuited the battery by connecting the terminals. This causes the lithium to react violently with oxygen, releasing sparks and heat. It's not exactly safe, but in a survival situation, calculated risk is part of the game. Of course, Bear didn't just rely on the battery alone. He had dry tinder ready to catch the spark the second it ignited. The fire flared up almost instantly. It's a MacGyver-level move, but one rooted in real chemistry and real experience. It's also proof that when you don't have a fire steel, a bit of tech and a lot of ingenuity can keep you alive. Now imagine trying to light a fire in the desert. How do you go about this? One of the toughest parts of making fire in the wild is dealing with changing climates. Bear Grylls has lit fires in both sweltering deserts and soaking jungles, and the approach is never the same. In dry, hot conditions, your main challenge isn't moisture. It's managing the heat, wind, and brittle fuel. In the jungle, it's the exact opposite. Everything is soaked from the leaves to your socks. In desert terrain, Bear has used basic optical tricks to start a fire. One clever method involves focusing sunlight through a pair of glasses, or even a piece of broken lens. The goal is to direct intense light onto a small point of dry tinder, like dry grass or shredded bark, until it starts to smoke and catch. It's slow but effective if you're patient and precise. It also doesn't rely on tools, just sunlight and focus, literally. In the jungle, Bear has to get creative with the wood. He often strips bark from dead trees to reach the dry interior, using that for kindling. He avoids green wood completely, since it's too full of moisture to burn. He also builds fires off the ground using sticks or rocks to keep them from being snuffed out by wet soil. The key is to adapt your fire building technique to the environment around you. There's no one-size-fits-all when nature's throwing curveballs. But even the perfect fire-starting tools and setup fails without the one thing most people overlook: the tiniest material that starts it all. When starting a fire, you can have a roaring pile of logs ready, but if you don't start small with the right tinder, you're just watching wood sit there and smolder. Bear Grylls knows this better than anyone. In almost every survival demo he's done, he highlights the importance of good tinder: natural, dry, and easy to light. Bear often uses dry grass, bird's nests, or fluff from plants. Cattail fluff, for example, is a standout. Found near wetlands, it looks like harmless fuzz, but it catches fire incredibly fast. The trick is knowing where to look and grabbing it while it's dry. Another favorite is the inner fluff from dried seed heads or the papery bark of certain trees, like birch. But it's not just what you find, it's how you build it. A well-made tinder nest works like a fire incubator. According to OutdoorCommand.com, the process is simple but precise. You roll your tinder into a loose ball, then create a small hollow or depression in the center. That's where the spark or ember goes. The bundle should be light and fluffy, compressed enough to hold shape, but loose enough for air to flow through. That airflow feeds the spark. Massage it gently. Blow slowly, and you'll see the glow come to life. Every good fire starts here, with the smallest spark and the right nest to cradle it. Still, a spark needs more than tinder. It needs a fire-starting tool. So let's take a look at an ancient skill that survivalists have trusted for centuries. Using flint and steel is one of the oldest ways to start a fire, and Bear Grylls still teaches it because it works in the rain, wind, or cold. He often carries a fire striker, also known as a ferro rod or fire steel, in his survival kit. It's small, lightweight, and most importantly, reliable even when wet. Matches can fail, lighters run out, but a good spark from steel, that's something you can count on. The method is simple but takes a little skill. Bear teaches to keep your tinder ready first: cotton wool, dry grass, or bark shavings. Then strike the steel firmly with a sharp edge. The trick is to keep one hand steady and let the striker do the work. You want the spark to land directly into the tinder without knocking it over. That control makes all the difference. Bear Grylls also teaches that you can use rocks too. According to beargrillsgear.org, rocks like quartz, chert, and obsidian are ideal because they're hard and contain a lot of silica, making them spark reliably when struck. Combine that with a high-carbon steel striker, and you've got a dependable fire-starting system. It's primitive tech, but it's still one of the best tools you can carry. But even with a fire now set up, structure matters. Build it wrong and all that effort goes up in smoke. When it comes to actually building the structure of a fire, Bear Grylls leans heavily towards the teepee shape. It's not just because it looks cool. There's a real reason behind it. A well-built teepee fire creates a natural chimney effect. Heat rises through the center and pulls in oxygen from below, feeding the flames without you having to watch it constantly. It's efficient, simple, and ideal when time and energy are limited. Bear often explains that the base layer matters just as much. You don't build directly on wet ground. He uses bark, stones, or a platform of sticks to keep the fire dry and elevated. Then comes the arrangement. The tinder goes in the middle, kindling leans around it like a tent, and slightly larger sticks are positioned to continue the flow. That shape gives the fire room to breathe and space for heat to climb. Some people use the log cabin method, stacked layers in a square, but Bear rarely recommends it in survival settings. It's harder to light, and without the airflow advantages of a teepee, it's more prone to smothering. His golden rule is, don't overload the flame. Build it with care, let it breathe, and it will do the rest. A good fire is built smart, not just stacked. Sometimes, fire isn't just for survival. It's your only voice, your only signal, your only hope of being found. So let's have a look at how to build a signal fire. When you're lost in the wilderness and need rescue, a fire isn't just for warmth, it's your lifeline. Bear Grylls teaches that building a signal fire could be the one thing that gets you spotted from miles away. In survival school, Bear trains young recruits to make signal fires that are visible from the air, even through thick forest canopies. The key isn't just flames, it's smoke, thick and high. To get that smoke, Bear uses a smart combo. Start a normal fire with dry wood and kindling, then pile on green vegetation like fern leaves. Ferns are perfect because they contain moisture that doesn't burn clean. It smokes like crazy, but location matters. Bear always stresses finding a clearing. Smoke stuck under tree cover won't help a rescue team. Open space gives your signal the best shot of being seen from helicopters or planes. The setup is simple but needs patience. You build a solid fire base, let it burn hot, then throw on the smoke-producing materials in quick bursts. Too early and you'll smother the fire. Too late and the moment's lost. With practice, a smoke column can shoot up like a flare. In survival, that's often the difference between staying lost and going home. So now, what do you think about Bear Grylls' wildfire building skills? Which of these survival fire tips would you try first if you were stranded in the wild? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more epic survival stories and tips.